What if I told you that India's biggest financial criminals didn't wear masks? They wore suits. And they didn't rob banks with guns. They robbed banks with checkbooks, fake companies, forged signatures, and political connections. From the Harshad Mehta stock market storm of the 90s to Nirav Modi's billion-dollar jewelry fraud. From chit fund chaos to the DHFL shadow banking collapse. These scams didn't just cost money. They shook entire institutions, broke investor trust, and exposed just how easy it is to manipulate India's financial system. So today, we're taking you through a cinematic journey into the 5 biggest financial scams in India's modern history. Fasten your seatbelt. This one has everything: greed, lies, power, and $1 billion rupees vanishing faster than you can say audited books. This is Money Matrix, the place where we decode money, power, and the hidden rules of wealth. Like the video, subscribe, and comment below. Which scam shocked you the most? And why do we keep letting this happen? It all started in the early 90s. The Bombay Stock Exchange was buzzing. India was opening its markets. And one man, Harshad Mehta, became the undisputed king of the stock market. Known as the Big Bull, Harshad was a stockbroker who rose from humble beginnings. But behind the Lamborghinis and gold Rolexes was a massive fraud. He exploited a loophole in the banking system, using fake bank receipts to siphon over 4,000 Indian rupees crore from PSU banks and pump that into stocks. The market soared. He created fake demand and became a national icon. But when the scam broke in 1992, exposed by journalist Sucheta Dalal, the market crashed. Investors lost everything. Fast forward to 2018. India's favorite celebrity jeweler, Nirav Modi, was being chased by international police. But how'd he pull it off? At the center of it all was Punjab National Bank, PNB. Nirav and his associates used fake letters of undertaking, LOUs, to get international loans. These weren't just random loans. We're talking Indian rupee 13,000 crore across several global banks. And PNB's internal systems had no idea it was happening. Nirav Modi's jewelry empire expanded. Celebrities endorsed him, and stores popped up in New York and Hong Kong, all backed by non-existent money. When it came crashing down, it became India's biggest banking fraud at the time. Fact: Nirav Modi's name appeared on Interpol's Red Notice. While Nirav Modi made headlines, another scam was quietly brewing. Meet DHFL, Dewan Housing Finance Corporation Limited, a housing finance company that looked like it was helping the middle class buy homes. But behind the scenes, it was funneling over 31,000 Indian rupees crore through shell companies, a network of 260-plus fake firms. These shell companies were controlled by people linked to the promoters themselves. It was India's biggest corporate fraud ever. Investors included LIC, EPFO, and mutual fund companies, which means your money may have been involved. Fact: a forensic audit found that DHFL gave loans to ghost companies with no operations, just for paper trail purposes. And to top it off, this was not discovered by a regulator. It was revealed by a YouTube channel called Cobra Post. Opinion: when YouTubers are exposing 30,000 Indian rupees crore scams and SEBI is silent, something is broken. Question: why does the system react only after the money is gone? Now let's talk about scams that didn't just target banks. They targeted the poorest people. Enter chit funds, legal in structure, but dangerous when misused. And that's exactly what happened with Sarda Group and Rose Valley. These two West Bengal-based firms ran massive Ponzi schemes. They promised poor investors high returns. Double your money in 3 years. Safe as gold. People invested life savings. Farmers mortgaged land. Housewives gave dowries. And when the companies collapsed, they took over 60,000 Indian rupees crore with them. Fact: over 1.7 million investors were affected by the Sarda scam alone. The biggest twist? Local politicians were involved. Some even featured in the company's promotional events. Joke: only in India can a Ponzi scheme have a brand ambassador from the assembly. Lesson: the poor don't just suffer poverty. They suffer from trust in the wrong people. You can't talk about scams and not mention India's most flamboyant defaulter, Vijay Mallya. Owner of Kingfisher Airlines, liquor baron, Formula One team sponsor, Mallya was everywhere. But behind the flashy lifestyle was a debt trap of 9,000 Indian rupees crore, taken from 17 Indian banks. His airline failed. He defaulted on loans. And before regulators could act, he left the country, allegedly with political blessing. He now lives in London, fighting extradition and tweeting about Indian hypocrisy. Fact, Mallya once said, "I am not a defaulter. I am a victim of political witch hunt." Opinion, a man who lives in a £20 million mansion in London is probably not a victim. Question, why is India so good at creating fugitives, but terrible at bringing them back? So here we are, 5 scams, tens of thousands of crores, millions of lives affected. And the worst part? These aren't ancient history. These scams happened in the last 3 decades, some just 2 to 3 years ago. And every time, the story's the same. Big promise, no assessed, money vanishes, arrests happen late, and the victims? Left with broken trust and empty pockets. Opinion, India doesn't just need stricter laws. It needs faster reaction, independent enforcement, and financial literacy at scale. Because the next scam is already brewing somewhere. And next time, it might not hit headlines. It might hit your bank account. If you found this video valuable and now view news headlines a little more skeptically, hit that like button. Subscribe to Money Matrix for deep dives into the world of money, power, and how the system really works. And tell us in the comments, which scam do you think caused the most damage and why? Until next time, remember, it's not the crime that ruins economies. It's the blind trust in people who promise too much, too fast. Stay smart, stay skeptical, and always follow the money.